How are you?
Hi, Lisa.
Good to see you.
You too.
Awesome. Well, we already have questions in queue. We've already started recording, and I've already run through the rules. So we will jump right in.
Awesome.
I think Mark Garrow was a quick man on the draw for the hand raise. So we'll start with Mark.
Thank you, guys. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. Christopher, as a look at the start of your season, besides the win, you're solidly top 10 in points. You're 7th in the playoff points. Can you talk about just the kind of difference in confidence level you guys may have now from where you were at the start of the season?
Yeah, it's been a great 10 race. Well, not great. I'm going to use my words carefully here. It's been a good 10 race stretch here. I've been able to pick up that first win, which was huge, but we've lacked a little bit of consistency. So hopefully we can pick that up going forward into the later half of the regular season here. And it's been fun to be competitive. Martinsville was a great showing. Richmond was a great showing. So we've had really good speed within the last couple weeks. Talladega's kind of a crapshoot. So I'm excited to get back to Kansas to the high downforce package, which we've been really up and down with. It seems like the low downforce package has been really good for us. So hopefully we can keep building on this and have a great week this week.
And my other question, PRN's next broadcast is COTA. And what's your thoughts on that track? Have you watched the Formula One races? Have you seen that and go like, man, I hope I get to race there one day? Or just what's your thoughts on COTA?
So, Mark, I actually got to go to COTA in January and run a Trans Am car to just get laps around the racetrack and see the facility. And I was really, really happy with it. It seems like it's going to be a great race. And there's a lot of slow sections and fast sections and basically everything in between. So I think there's going to be a lot of action for sure.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark. Next, we'll go to Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks, Lisa. Hey, Christopher. So we're in this stretch of races that are going to appear in the playoffs later this year. And I know Adam's probably keeping his notebook of things that he wants to keep in mind. But what about you? What have you been maybe marking down or keeping in mind at these tracks as you prepare to be in the postseason later this year?
Yeah, it's been as you know, the early part of the season is all about preparing for the playoffs. So luckily, we've been able to win a race and get locked in, so that was really good. But one thing that I've been really, really happy with is our speed with the low downforce package. And that's really important come Phoenix time because that's what you're going to be racing for the championship. So I've been really happy with that. Last year in the 95 group, the low downforce package was a really weak link for us. So that's been rewarding to build on that and make it our strong suit this year. So the high downforce stuff has been hit or miss, like I just told Mark. So we're focused on trying to get that better and build on that right now.
And we've been continuing on this trend of drivers getting their first win of the season. It's now 9 in 10 races. So where are you at on the possibility of 16 or more different winners? Do you think that could happen, and do you worry about it at all?
I mean, it's always a possibility, but we're focused on trying to maximize our points in the moment right now so that if it does happen, we're still safe. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of parity throughout the field. There's a lot of guys that are running really strong and competing for wins. So, you know, I don't think we're done seeing first-time winners this year. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thanks, Kelly. Next, we'll go to Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Christopher, following up on that, like, do you check the points after every race just to see kind of where you are in relation to, like, I guess McDowell and Bowman, who are kind of lower there in points but have a win?
Well, no, I don't really look at the points weekly. I was really bummed after Bristol because I gave up a lot of points in that race. And, you know, obviously I'd be a lot higher in the standings if I wouldn't have made that mistake and cost us. But, yeah, I mean, I try not to focus on the points, just go out there and do my job. And it's a lot of fun to be competitive week in and week out, and just really, really glad to be where I'm at Joe Gibbs Racing and being partners with Toyota. So hopefully we can keep running strong, keep building, and, you know, looking after last year going into this year, if you would have told me I'd be sitting 10th in points, I'd be really happy. But now here I am, 10 races in, I'm 10th in points, and it's like, it's there. We have capability for so much more. So we just want to continue to grow, and I want to keep getting better.
And there's been this stretch of races at tracks that are going to be in the playoffs. Have you felt like, not that you're experimenting, but have you tried some things just to see if they would work for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. Like I was just saying, the low downforce stuff was really bad for us last year, and I think as a company, or as a companies together, Joe Gibbs Racing and LFR, we were all a little bit down on the low downforce stuff, and it seems like we've picked that up. At Richmond, all 4 of our cars were outstanding. All 4 of the JGR cars were outstanding at Richmond. Martinsville was a really great showing for us. So I think we've definitely hit on something that will apply towards the playoffs.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Next, we'll go to Woody Kane. Go ahead, Woody.
Hey, Christopher, appreciate your time. Also want to look ahead a little bit to Darlington. I don't think you guys have announced a throwback scheme yet, but you mentioned the low downforce package, and I'm curious what kind of a difference you think that might make at that track in particular, and also if that was an event or a race that was on your radar growing up in the dirt world.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make a huge difference going to Darlington with the little spoilers. It's basically going to the Xfinity package that I raced there in 2018 and 2019. So it was really eye-opening going there with the big spoilers last year, just completely different. So I'm excited to get back to little spoiler racing at Darlington. It's going to be a great show. You're going to see a lot of guys slipping and sliding around, and it's going to be a great race for sure. As far as me paying attention to it, it was the Southern 500 was obviously it's a crown jewel event in the NASCAR schedule. So that was definitely one that I always paid attention to. And, it's been a while now since we've had the spring Darlington race aside from last year. So it's going to be good to get some more track time because the place is really unique. So I'm thankful that we get a little tune-up before the Southern 500.
Thank you.
Thanks, Woody. Next, we'll go to Claire B. Go ahead, Claire.
Great. Can you hear me?
We've got you.
Perfect. Okay. Let me ask you, I was talking to William Byron this past hour about when he first came into NASCAR and how much more comfortable he feels now, and how he walked into the garage at first, a really young driver. Where are you at in that process? I know you're competent as a racer, but in just being a cup racer and finding your way, and now, having more confidence with the team, et cetera.
Yeah, definitely had that first day of school vibes last year for sure. And going into the Cup garage as a rookie, I don't know, you just feel out of place. And definitely year 2 makes that a lot better, and just getting more comfortable with time. But with that being said, the whole current world situation has gotten a little bit better compared to last year, but we're still not in the garage like we were back in the day. So I rarely go to my hauler on race weekends anymore. So hopefully we can get back to a little bit more of practice and qualifying and stuff like that, where you're more involved at the racetrack instead of just showing up and racing. But yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot better year 2. And I know exactly what he was talking about. I had all those feelings last year.
And so when you now don't go to your hauler because of COVID, would the process be easier if you ran into these drivers and you could, bust chops with them, or, they're in the hauler, they're at the hauler next to you or something? Would that be easier, that process, for everybody?
Yeah, I think it would probably shorten that curve up of feeling out of place. And, we don't really, none of the drivers really mingle that much. Like last year, or in the previous stages, we'd always see each other at driver intros and kind of make small chat or whatever, but now we're never really around each other. So yeah, it's definitely been a change of pace.
Looking forward to what you can do at Kansas, and good luck. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Claire. Next, we'll go to Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Thanks, Lisa and Christopher. Thank you for your time this afternoon. 2 questions for you. First, you mentioned the parity earlier. With where you guys are at JGR, do you feel like it's a case of you guys are missing something, or do you feel it's more that the rest of the field is kind of caught up in some ways to where JGR was last year and being as dominant as they were?
Yeah, so last year I think everybody will agree that JGR, well, 19 was great for Toyota as a whole and JGR. They were really good, and then 20 was a little bit down, and it seems like 21 we're climbing back up. But yeah, I mean the field's just really tight right now, and I think you look at JGR's group as a whole. The 11 was really strong last year. He's strong again this year. The 19's been really good. They're 1-2 in points, so they're obviously really good. And then with the shakeup with the 18 team and the 20 team, including myself as a new driver and all the crew chief stuff, it's taken a little bit of time for these two groups, the 20 and the 18, to mesh. And I think once we figure each other out and Kyle and Ben get on the same page and myself and Adam continue to build our notebook, I think we'll be able to compete with the 19 and the 11. And I think the recipe is all there for a bunch of success.
And obviously, the dirt side is still close to you. I know last year, really, the 21 car that you had, the sprint car that you and Chad worked on, was kind of your project, your baby, if you will. But we really haven't seen it this year. Do you have any plans for that, or is that kind of on the shelf for the time being?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the 21 is no more. The sprint car operation is no more. So right now, sprint car racing and dirt racing as a whole is put on hold. So, I look forward to the day that I can get back out to the dirt tracks, and, it won't be in the 21 car in the near future, but hopefully it'll be driving for another person. Me and Kevin Swindell have stayed great friends, so I'd love to get back in the 39 at some point. Just, well, I'm not sure what the future holds, but not at the time being.
Is that just a byproduct of the increased demands as far as the Cup schedule is concerned?
Yeah, I'm not really. I can't comment on that.
Understood. Best of luck, man.
Thanks, Jacob. Next we'll go to Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Hey, thanks, Lisa. Christopher, thanks for taking the time, man. Hope you're well. I want to go back to what Mark was talking about with COTA coming up. Truex took part in that Goodyear test session a couple of weeks ago. Has there been any communication between you and MTJ on what he took away from driving at COTA that you could use possibly forward to the first practice session coming up there next week?
Yeah, absolutely, Marty.
Or a couple weeks, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It was really good to have someone part of our organization go to the tire test and feel it out and get some data for our cars. But I think the biggest thing that's going to help me was that Trans Am test that I did in January, just getting the track time, understanding what the track looks like, what the curbs look like, and the track layout, stuff like that. So it was really good to be able to relate to Martin and ask him what he felt in the Cup Series car whenever he hit the curbs. How did it react? How much throttle was he able to use? So, yeah, it's going to be beneficial for all of us. But he's definitely going to have a heads up on us and the rest of those guys at the tire test.
And also, what's it been like working with Adam Stevens so far, 10 races in?
It's been up and down. It was definitely off to a good start, that's for sure, at Daytona Road Course, picking up the win. And, we've had some really, really great Camrys over the course of our 10 races. I look at the Daytona Road Course. Phoenix, we were really strong. And then Richmond and Martinsville were really good as well. So one thing about all of those races are the little spoiler. And then you look at the races like Vegas, we were competitive, but not really a contending car. And then Atlanta, Homestead, trying to think if there was another one. That might be it for the big spoiler races. And it was a little bit all over the map. Vegas, we were okay, but the other two, we really struggled. So, we've had our good races and our bad races, and we're trying to build our notebook and get more consistent.
Awesome. Thank you, Christopher. Good luck this weekend, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Next, we'll go to Ashley. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hey, Christopher. Thanks for your time today. Looking back at your first career Xfinity win, which came at Kansas Motor Speedway, what stands out looking back to then?
Yeah, Ashley, I love Kansas Speedway. It's one of my favorite racetracks. I call it my second home track. Texas is a little bit closer, but Kansas will always have a special place in my heart after that Xfinity win. So It's just a fun racetrack that we go to. It's in a great area. There's a bunch of food around there. There's shops and stuff. There's a casino there, so there's stuff to do right around the racetrack, and it's a fun racetrack too. It's a place that has a fair amount of grip. I would call it more so on the grip side than not, and you can move around. You can run the bottom, you can run the top, so there's a lot of throttle time. And for this rules package, it's a great racetrack.
And how do you feel you've developed and changed as a driver since then?
Yeah, I just think obviously I've grown and got more experience, and it's been a couple years now since that. So just you learn so much over each race and each year, and your experience level grows. So probably a little bit smarter, and well, I hope I'm a little bit smarter anyway, and definitely have some more experience.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. Next, we'll go to Dustin. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Christopher, with the talk about CODA, I'm curious, how long did it take to memorize the track to where you felt like you knew all the points, you could run the corners as hard as possible? And I'm curious, my guess is maybe Road America might have been as challenging, and maybe the first time just because of when you were there. Can you kind of talk me through how, what that process is like, and trying to be able to where you can nail each corner once you get on the track with the car?
Yeah, Dustin, that's actually a great question. And for whatever reason, CODA has been by far the hardest road course to learn, turn in and turn out. So the Road America is probably the most similar in lengthwise that we go to, but CODA just has so many corners that I don't know if they look similar or what, but I spent a lot of time on iRacing just trying to know what corner comes next. You get a right-hander and then a left-hander, and it was substantially harder than every other road course I've done of just learning and memorizing the track. And that's a huge part of being competitive. So I spent a lot of time on iRacing before I went to the Trans Am test, and it was very beneficial. So getting track time is I think going to be a really big advantage, and I hope to apply that whenever we go there to race.
Was it as much trying to find, I guess, your marking points or things like that? Just because I'm sure it's probably for as realistic as iRacing is, there's still some differences. Was that a challenge, or is that a challenge when you try to learn these new courses?
Yeah, so you obviously don't get any feel from iRacing, right? Because it's all visual. Basically, I would just use that to get the visuals of the racetrack and know the layout of the course and what corners come next. And then really the on-track stuff in the Trans Am car, that's when you focus on maximizing your braking points, your lifting points, your back to throttle. So that will give me I guess a guideline going into the Cup Series practice session that we get. But none of the brake points and the throttle points are going to relate from a Trans Am car to a Cup car. So it's just about piecing all the pieces of the puzzle together, from starting in iRacing, learning the visuals, then picking up my points in the Trans Am car, and now trying to apply all that and changing my points, but keeping the visuals and stuff in the Cup car.
The last thing about that is, I know it's been a while. When you went out there in the Trans Am car, do you have a sense of, recall how many laps did you run? I mean, it was like 50 laps, 75 laps that you're able to do, or even more than that day?
Yeah, it was probably, I would say 20 to 30. Definitely no more than 30.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Dustin. Looks like we have a follow-up from Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Christopher, going back to Kansas, it's been nearly 10 years since the track was repaved and configured. I'm curious if you've happened to notice any character or like any tracks, or the track starting to notice some grooves in.
Yes, that's been it. Kansas has probably been one of the biggest changing tracks since my short time in NASCAR, whenever I started in 2016 for full time. Whenever we went in 2016, it was a repave. There's no doubt about it. It was really high grip, very peaky tire grip, so that you had a ton of grip, you're stuck, and then if you slip, you were going to crash pretty much. And now it's not homestead status yet, but it's along those terms, right, where the track is starting to age more and lose grip, and the tire's not as peaky. You can slip and slide a little bit more. So I've definitely been able to tell a difference, and it's been the biggest changing track for me from 2016 to here we are in 2021.
And also going back to the dirt, I'm also curious if you happened to watch the Bristol Throwdown Friday night for the World of Outlaws or the Super Dirt Car Series, and if so, any takeaways you noticed from it?
Yeah, that was definitely one I had circled on my calendar to watch, and man, I absolutely loved it. Like, I was just thrilled to death to be able to watch the sprint cars at Bristol and to see the raw speed from them. Watching qualifying was breathtaking. And then the race, the feature was absolutely incredible too, with Aaron Reitzel driving up through the field and catching David Gravel there at the end. So yeah, I was absolutely thrilled being able to watch the sprint cars at Bristol, and I thought it was a fantastic show. Definitely was insane to watch there. Thanks again, man.
Nothing like 13-second laps at Bristol.
Insane.
Anyway.
It's absolutely insane.
Looks like Bob's got another follow-up. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Christopher, I was curious how the test at Nashville went the second time around. Do you feel comfortable with the tire that they apparently settled on?
Comfortable. I mean, I think we're going to be fine. Race weekend, the tire wear is always better, but yeah, I mean, we basically went from running 20 laps and cording tires to 40. I think the most I got was 43. So, comfortable. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be fine. Once we get the other series there, they're gonna hopefully lay some rubber down. But which I say that, it was really strange because we couldn't really get any rubber to smear down into the track, and the track never really took rubber. But with that being said, 30 cars on the track versus 3 will be a big difference. So I feel fairly confident that we won't have any tire issues.
Thank you.
All right, it looks like one more follow-up from Ashley, and we will wrap with that. So go ahead, Ashley.
So we talked about your growth as a driver since Kansas. So on the flip side of that, where do you feel you need to improve and get better moving forward to become that championship contender in the Cup Series?
So I think that's a tough question, but I will say I hope we're along the right path. I'm at Joe Gibbs Racing now, which is a championship caliber team. I've got a 2-time championship crew chief, Adam Stevens, with championship caliber mechanics and engineers all around him. So I feel like I've got the entire group around me to make the 20 group a championship team. And hopefully the more that me and Adam gel, the more races I get underneath my belt, hopefully we're able to get there. And that's the end goal. So I feel like we've got all the right pieces of the puzzle. It's just time. We just need time. We need races and continue to, get me and Adam on the same page. So hopefully less Homesteads and Atlantas and more Richmonds and Daytona road courses.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Ashley. That will wrap us up for today. Christopher, we appreciate the time as always. And thanks everybody for joining. We'll send a link out once this is complete via Dropbox, and we'll get it all uploaded up to NASCARmedia.com as well. So Christopher, thank you so much for your time. Have a great race weekend in Kansas. And here before you know it, some of us will be back in the garage with you. So we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Lisa. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you guys.